Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carl Prusa MMA. We got a familiar guest to the platform today. You know, we're only about a week and not even. We're like 8 days out from UFC Atlanta. Got some exciting news just a couple of days ago. We got a fight. He is the machine. He is Mr. Malcolm Wellmaker. He's taking on Kris Moutinho next Saturday, June 14th, Atlanta, Georgia. Malcolm, what's going on, my friend? How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. I'm glad I got a fight. I wanted that more than anything after my Kansas City performance, and they made it happen.
You know, what was that process like, man? You know, obviously you go out there, get a huge win over Cameron Saman, and then now taking on Moutinho. But for a while, this took a little bit of time to get planned and get announced and all that stuff. Was there any doubt at first? Were you a little scared of, hey, am I going to be on this card?
Yeah, I was definitely scared. This is my first time dealing with, this kind of matchmaking experience with the UFC. And the whole time between my last fight and this one, my management kept telling me, Sean Shelby said he's going to make it happen. And I remember telling my manager, I was like, I don't know him well enough to know whether I should take his word on it. What do you think? And my manager was like, I believe in him. And I had doubts, but I mean, they really got it done with this one, man.
You know, last time we talked, you had posted that video, you quitting your job. I mean, your Instagram was like a movie. I mean, every hour numbers would go up. You're up to almost 100,000 followers right now. How's life been since all that, man? Is it hard to go out in public? Your phone keeps getting blown up?
Yeah, a little bit of both of those. Definitely, man. My phone gets a ton of traffic now. I mean, and mostly people that I know, people that I love. But unfortunately, man, I can't talk on the phone as much as I want to. I'll be on the phone all day. So, I've been having to shoot a lot of messages back to let guys know, I still love them, that I'm still there. And I get recognized everywhere, man. I mean, there's been times I've been sitting on my front porch and drive-bys, passerbys will see me and they'll roll down the window and say, "Hey, good fight." And I'm like, "Hey, thanks, bro. I don't know who you are." So it's great, man. It's huge.
Does it still feel kind of surreal? I mean, have you been adapted? Have you been getting used to this? I mean, or for you, do you still look at this like, hey, I'm just a fan that happens to fight in the same organization as all these other guys?
Yeah, it's still a little bit unreal, getting on the card that I'm on now. It's a lot of guys that I'm somewhat gonna be starstruck to see, like Cody Garbrandt, man. I used to truly admire that guy, so to be sharing a card with him, man, be able to finally meet somebody like that, this stuff is all still surreal. So I'm sure when I make the trip to the hotel, get around these other fighters, do a little bit of the media, I'll get those jitters again.
You know, you take a lot of pride training where you do. Obviously, Bigler's MMA, such a family, a place that kind of bred you, raised you in the world of mixed martial arts. You got so many life lessons from Joel, Jake, and Pops. You know, what's the impact been of your success to the gym? Are you guys starting to see more members? Is there a buzz? Is everyone happy and all excited?
Yeah, man, all that stuff for sure, man. The mats are packed now, man. I mean, it's barely any room to move around whenever we spar, which is a good thing. And the energy in the room is so much different, man. Like everybody's so excited, everybody's so driven. All the guys that have fights on the regional scene coming up, they're just training with a different fire and passion. And obviously, since I got this fight lined up, everybody is once again, over the moon and excited to see what we do again.
Absolutely. You know, obviously you fought in Georgia a bunch of times. You know, I've obviously seen you fight in Savannah. You fought in Augusta. You have fought in Atlanta before. You're fighting one of the biggest arenas in the state now. Obviously, the State Farm Arena could be thousands of people. You know, obviously with that climb of the UFC, you're so focused on getting there. Did you have this vision of fighting in that building in the past?
No, it never really crossed my mind. The last time UFC came to Atlanta, I don't even know if I was aware of it. I was so green in the sport. So it never even occurred to me that, this arena would be holding a UFC event, especially so early in my career. That just was not, what I was expecting. So it's still all so big to me.
You know, obviously mixed martial arts has grown in so many different areas. And, now I think we're finally starting to see some love in the Southeast. Florida always been an MMA powerhouse, obviously in Boston, New York, you have out West, California, Vegas, huge meccas of mixed martial arts. But you're really starting to see in the Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee, a lot of talented guys. Torres Finney in the UFC.
Yeah.
You're now in the UFC making a name for yourself. And you look at the regional scene, Conflict, NFC, Aries, all these different promotions are having guys where it's like, oh, maybe 3-4 years from now, they'll be in the UFC as well. Have you noticed this? Do you think, maybe 3-4 years from now, is the Southeast going to be an MMA powerhouse as well?
Yeah, man, I'm definitely hoping so, man. I know of a ton of talented guys that's in the amateur scene right now. And if you have a conversation with these guys and see where their head is, if you watch them train, they are going to accomplish great things, And I think it's just that generational thing where the talent pool rose to a certain level and the guys coming behind us are going to get there even quicker. So I think, it's a natural growth process that happens when guys like me, guys like Cody Durden, Torres Finney are getting to that level and staying there. So yeah, man, for sure. In a couple of years, I really think we will have multiple names in the UFC, and the Southeast will be known for its level in mixed martial arts.
It's kind of weird doing interviews now because for so long we talked about the sacrifices, the grind, the struggle. Obviously there's still sacrifices to being a mixed martial artist, even in the UFC. I mean, even though, the shows are bigger now, the money's a lot better now, you still have to dedicate your whole life to this. Obviously you just had a child. Congratulations. You have a wife. You have to take all your time into this. You have to make sacrifices. You don't have a job anymore.
Mm-hmm.
How's that transition been like? Is it kind of weird adapting to life without having to weld 4 or 5 days a week?
Yeah, man, it's insane. I still, even to this day, will go back and scroll through the old photos when I was on job sites. I get phone calls from the guys on the job all the time. And it's still bittersweet. I loved doing what I did. But man, I love even more being able to wake up, train, and then chill in the comfort of my home, recover between training sessions, just not be stretched so thin, be able to focus on my social media, my YouTube a little bit more, and just feel like I'm doing something with a little bit more fulfillment and purpose to it. So the transition has been, like I said, bittersweet describes it best, but it's been good, man. It's been so good.
This last month for you has been, absolutely amazing. You go to Kansas City, you have your moment, you win the big $50,000 bonus, you get to quit your job. Birth of your first son, Walla, since then, how has that changed anything? Is the motivations, the will to do it for him, his life, your outlook on life, has it changed at all since that?
Yeah, man, having my son really gave me this incredible sense of peace, man. I want to accomplish so much in fighting. And I got so many goals and dreams that I had before him. But having him, man, lets me know that regardless of what I accomplish, man, that little child is going to be able to go on YouTube and see what I've done so far. And he is going to be driven to do so many more incredible things. So like that motivation in itself makes me want to go and get more highlight reel finishes, put on bigger performances, make my name even bigger so that when he's old enough to understand who his dad is, like he doesn't have to look at the TV screen to see his superhero. I'll be, right there in front of him.
Absolutely. So you're taking on Kris Moutinho, a guy that UFC fans know well. Obviously, he had that war with Sean O'Malley a few years ago, really showed how tough he is, left the UFC, went on a roll in the regional scene. They won 5 straight in a row in the Boston area, fighting on their regional promotions. That was the name that you got overall when you were pitched him. Was that exciting? I mean, did you get a kick out of that one?
Yeah, man. It was an 18-second phone call from my manager on June 3rd. He called me, and we had been scrambling trying to get matchups. It's getting super close to fight night, and he said, "Hey, green-haired kid that fought Sean O'Malley, Kris Moutinho." I said, "Yeah, I know you're talking about." He said, "You want to fight him?" I said, "Hell yeah." And he said, "All right, I'm going to make it happen." And, bro, I immediately, I called you because, you was already talking about that matchup for months. And it was probably the most exciting matchup out of all of them that was offered to me that I got. So I'm so glad that this is the one that went through.
As a guy like him, did that ever cross your mind? I mean, was that ever a possibility that you could have thought of?
No, I did not think in a million years, because I watched Sean O'Malley fight this guy live. I remember it. And I remember being like, goodness, he put a beating on that kid, but he is tough. I mean, tough as they come. I've never seen somebody be able to, march forward through every shot like that against somebody known as such a powerful striker. So his name never crossed my mind in a real sense as being a possibility for me to fight in Atlanta. So when it came across, it was just one of the most unreal things that came true for me.
Obviously the Atlanta fans, the Georgia fans, sure they love to watch you fight, but I think a lot of people may not realize what got added here. I mean, if you look how you fight, if you look how he fights, this is an absolute banger. I mean, this has all the makings to be an absolute war. Both of you guys don't know how to go backwards. I mean, it's a lot of forward, it's a lot of striking, it's a lot of great entertainment. Is this the type of fight that you really thrive on?
Yeah, man. Look, I had offers from different people, and some of them I wasn't the most excited about, just because stylistically speaking, I knew it was going to be more of a complex situation in front of me when I got into the cage. But this one, oh, come on, man. This is like a field day for me. Like all I want to do is get in there, tell them lock the cage, so me and Kris can have a good time. We're gonna have some real fun in there, and I'm sure the crowd is just gonna have a blast watching it.
Your last time out, I think you made a really good introduction to the crowd. You came out to the first day out song, the Gucci Mane song. Got the crowd going absolutely blaring, buzzing. You thinking of another good banger of a walkout to get the party started for this one?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I pride myself on my walkout songs, man. It's always a special experience for me and the people who come support me. It's always got some kind of hidden meaning behind it, and some type of connection to my fan base. So with this one being not only in Georgia, but in Atlanta, man, I got a real banger lined up that I'm gonna come out to, and I think that the crowd's gonna go crazy and have a good time to it.
Absolutely. Obviously on the regional scene, you fought in front of a bunch of crowds, those ones in Augusta, those big shows in the summer for Conflict MMA. I mean, it's really hype in there. It's loud in there. Well, we're going to amplify that by about probably 10 to 15 times. You got to experience it in Kansas City, when they're screaming, when they're going crazy after you landed that big knockout. Was that a surreal moment, just experiencing all that?
Yeah, literally, you saying that just almost took me back and put me in a trance. I was literally thinking about, being in the octagon, it being the only thing that's illuminated by the lights in the stadium, just the canvas feeling so special, and nothing except me and my opponent, and the roars of the crowd during the action. Oh man, it gives me chills literally just thinking about it. And man, I can't wait to get back in there and feel it again.
I saw a little video that I think one of your cornermen took of you guys walking out. You got to the cage, and then you can see you're just looking around. You're taking it all in, and you can see like the cut guys. They're like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go."
Right, that's right.
During that initial moment when you got to see that for the first time, was it hard not to look around and take a break and be like, "Whoa, this is happening"?
Yeah, man. You know how you see like TikToks and reels of like the most beautiful scenery in the world and the slow motion with beautiful music. That was that moment for me. It was literally a breathtaking sight. I had never been to a UFC fight ever, let alone at the bottom of the stadium with the crowd and lights all around me. So when I walked out there and I saw that reaction was sincere, man. I had never been, just astonished by a sight like that before. And that was a legit moment for me.
It's kind of amazing. We've talked about your journey so much, and it's an absolutely amazing one. So I want to keep bringing it up. But there was a time where you didn't think any of this was a possibility. You hadn't found your place quite in life. You had struggles in the past. Found Pops, found Jake, found Joel, found Fagler's, really able to put some structure, really put some perspective in your life, chased a goal, dedicate everything you had every single day to make this happen. Is this finally at a moment where you can really truly look back and be like, all the late nights, all the hours, all the not thinking, all the, hey, I want to quit was worth it?
Yeah, man. I felt like I got there, when I got that knockout against Cameron Simon. When I did what I did to him, and I realized that my career will forever be remembered in the bantamweight division. Even if I didn't do anything from here forward, I think that UFC debut will be in the top tier of UFC debuts for a long time to come. And that moment being that big and me being able to live it, experience it, being a legend in the city for what I've done so far, even as little as it may seem in comparison to what the greats in the UFC have done, compared to what I thought I was going to do, man, I've made my mark. And I'm just happy as I can be with everything that I've accomplished so far.
I think a benefit of being in the UFC that not a lot of people talk about is the platform that you create. You're at a time now, you have like 90,000 followers on Instagram, bunch of followers on YouTube. you have this platform, you have this reach, and get your message across. You know, for you, what are some of the things that you want to get out to your audience? What do you want them to know about you?
You know, I think one of the biggest things for me is, trying to influence the younger generation into walking a straight path. And when they choose that path, doing it the right way. For me, obviously getting into the trade, was something that gave me financial security, discipline, a bond with other real great men in my life that helped give me direction. So that's something that I would love to use my platform for, to encourage guys that don't know what they want to do with their lives, that's bouncing around from job to job, that feel like they have no direction and no value or no skill set. The trade is a beautiful thing you could do. And I even took it a step farther and decided to fight, and that was even a bigger, challenge for me to see the potential in myself. But I did, I found this special quality within myself that I didn't know I had, that came from the community that I found in the fight game, that came from the people that I found in the gym, and even further, that discipline, that work ethic, that confidence, that peace within myself. And not only fighting, but doing it the right way, doing it with respect, doing it with, loyalty, and carrying myself the right way with all the things that come my way. I just want to influence the younger generation to not be degenerate, not to buy into all the nonsense that's going on today, and contribute to society the same way I'm trying to.
There's a lot of different philosophies to kind of explain a career of a mixed martial artist. Lyoto Machida, I think, said it best to me in an interview once. He said there's 3 stages of being a fighter. You build, you conquer, and you share. You feel now that we're in the UFC, now that we're establishing a name for ourselves, are we full-blown in the conquer stage now?
Oh, yeah. We're in the conquer stage right now, man. I did so much building, over the years, that grind we talked about, that sacrifice we talked about. And I'm at my peak right now, as far as my age, I'm where I am physically, the best I'm going to be. So it's time for me to capitalize on it. I got all this time to sharpen my skill sets in a way I've never had the opportunity before. So it's time for me to go into that octagon against the best guys that'll come and sign a contract against me, conquer them. And later on, we'll get to the share part.
For you, what's the ultimate goal?
Man, the ultimate goal for me, I want to fight for the title. Not only do I want to get a lot of highlight reel fights and finishes, that's goal number one. Everybody they put in front of me for the near future, I want to make an example out of. I want to go in and put on clinics. I want to go and get highlight reels. I want to get some knockout bonuses. I really want to make myself a household name off of finishing guys and off of my skill set. And after that, I want to put a rank next to my name and do it against the best in the world. And eventually I want to fight for the title. And when I fight for the title, I want to bring that title back to Augusta and set that bar so high that the guys coming behind me end up going into the Hall of Fame. That's what I want, man.
You're finding that bantamweight division that is so incredibly stacked, so much great talent. There's some really big contests coming up in that division. I wanted you right now to get your predictions, get your thoughts on some of these big matchups. So we got a big one coming up. Mario Bautista welcoming Patchy Mix into the UFC. Patchy, a guy UFC fans want to see in there for so long. Finally getting the opportunity. How do you think that one plays out?
Man, I think Patchy Mix is really good. But I'll say this, and I'll be completely transparent. I'm somewhat of a casual because I watch nothing but UFC. Everything I've seen Patchy Mix has been clips, highlights, and dude looks good. Dude looks dangerous. But I am a sucker to the narrative that the UFC is the best in the world. A lot of people that do come over struggle to have the same success that they did in other organizations. And I think before Mario Bautista's last fight, he was much less hated. I mean, he was respected. He gave us some great performances, and he showed that he's very talented. So I do think that it will be a challenging fight for Mario Bautista, but I do see him coming out in the end as the winner.
Another big one coming up, a guy that Marcus McGee, getting a huge contest, taking up Petr Yan. What do you think of that one?
Man, Marcus McGee fighting Petr Yan that's the dream come true. If I can accomplish that, like if I can go in and do what he did, get these knockout bonuses, make an example out of guys, and argue my case to fight one of the best in the world, oh, man, I'm so proud of that guy. And he's just like me. He's somebody that got in a little bit later. He's somebody that, took challenging matchups. and he made an example out of those guys. So that fight in itself, I think, is going to be a closer fight than most people are giving it credit for. I think everybody expects Petr Yan to absolutely walk through Marcus McGee because Marcus McGee is so much less known. But I think that Marcus McGee is world-class talent, and I know that he trains with Sean O'Malley, who has first-hand experience with Petr Yan. So they've coached against him. They fought against him. He has those guys in his camp. So I think that he has a very, very good ability to game plan appropriately. And I think he showed us that he can follow a game plan and be effective. You know, he's even put guys on their back. So I see him going in there and giving us a good fight, man. So because I love Marcus, I'm going to pick him. I'm going to say Marcus McGee is going to beat Petr Yan. You tell it, maniac.
So obviously tomorrow night, you're probably going to be a little close to the television for the main event of UFC 316. Sean O'Malley, it's Merab Dvalishvili, number 2. Obviously, that's a championship title for your division. You going to be looking at that one a little interesting?
100%, man. I am going to make sure I block off my evening tomorrow and I watch that fight. I mean, it's two guys that I really admire for different reasons, but also could see myself competing against one day. Merab is just, one of a kind, one of the greatest to do it in the bantamweight division, has a gas tank we've never seen, has a mental edge we've never seen, has an ability to psychologically get an edge on guys that, is unprecedented, man. He's just so good at what he does. Everything he does, he's the best at, and does it against the best in the world. And he gave us a great performance in the first fight. And Sean O'Malley, I'll give him credit. He had his moments. And I think, the story is always when guys lose a fight, they have things to go back and improve on. The guys that win, they have things to improve on too, but most likely they're going to have the same approach, and that's what I expect. I think Merab is going to be pretty similar to the time he was last time, and I think Sean O'Malley can come out and be a different fighter. He's younger. He's still got that look where every time we see him, he's a little bit better, and I think he has a fire up on him from what he told us. So I think he's going to make the fight a whole lot closer. But I hate to say it, I think Merab's still going to win.
Every time you fight in this division, because it's so stacked, you're going to get a name. Cameron Simon, someone that a lot of people took very highly to. Kris Moutinho, another fan favorite here. When you look at the top 15 of this division, are you now doing these guys, realistically, I could be fighting some of these guys maybe 2, 3, 4 more fights away from now?
Yeah, 100%, man. I think if I do what I did at my debut, or similar to it against Kris and my next fight, it could be the fight after that, or for sure the fight after that one, that I'm fighting household names, guys that I've been watching on pay-per-view cards. So I'm preparing for it.
Could you see yourself being ranked after 2025?
100%. I can see myself in 2026 with a ranking next to my name, man. I'm planning on 100% competing again after this fight this year, hopefully twice, if I'm healthy. And then the following year, that's plenty of time to work to knock off somebody that got a number next to their name.
When you're staying active like this, is it easy to keep that momentum going? Like, is that fire still burning from Kansas City?
Absolutely, man. I love constant competition because it keeps those feelings of dealing with the nerves, those feelings of being in the spotlight fresh. The longer you go without competition, the more you forget and become distant with, what it's like to compete, especially at that stage. But for me, I mean, it was just 6 weeks ago that I was fighting a huge name and a huge crowd. So I'm so much more ready and null to all the things that I saw for the first time this time around. And I think it's going to make for a better performance this time.
While mixed martial arts is getting a lot more culturally accepted, I still think a lot of people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. How addictive is this? I mean, obviously, you see guys who just can't stop. They have the money. They don't need to be doing it. But what I've been learning is they love it. Like, this is their passion, hearing the crowd, training, the fight itself. For you, I mean, is it just a very addictive thing?
Yeah, man, I will say it is, but I also say it's not yet because I ain't got the money. I want the money. You know what I mean? It felt better getting that $50,000 transfer than it did to get that knockout. I tell you that. So for me, the feeling is incredible. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced, but I still have a very clear sight of what I'm pursuing in this game. And it's to be, financially stable, to be able to provide for myself, my child, the people around me, to have stability, and to be able to do things that's going to benefit me far beyond just fighting in the cage after it's all said and done. So I am addicted to the feeling. Don't get me wrong, but I might be a little bit more addicted to those dollar signs.
I remember, I think after you beat Chase Beltwell, you did a little Instagram post and you had a bunch of $100 bills. I think you just wrote out 7-0. We're going to do that with the 50K?
Oh, man, look, I already have some ignorant ideas, man. So you guys just hold tight until after this Atlanta fight. I'm going to make sure y'all got something to enjoy.
A few interviews ago, I asked you to rank your top 3 knockouts. That was before the Dana White Contender Series. Since then, has this list modified?
The list is modified a ton, man. I think my most 2 recent knockouts 100% go at the top of that list. Number 1, I think I'm going to have to put, I don't know if I could put Cameron Simon against Lenko, man. The Langston Sykes knockout was just so brutal and pivotal for my career. So tied 1 and 2, I got my Lenko Sykes knockout, rest in peace, with Cameron Simon. And number 3, Adam Bramhall, man. What a beautiful switch stance check hook I hit him with.
Absolutely. One thing I think is really cool when I'm watching your finishes back, it almost looks like there's a delayed reaction when you hit them. It's like they stun and then they fall. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, man. I think that it's this lightning fast connection that takes a second for the body to respond to, man. And these things are like, split moments where guys are in the middle of actions that I'm catching them. Langston Sykes was in action of throwing a shot when I caught him. Same thing for Adam Bramhall and Cameron Simon. They was just starting to get going on whatever they planned on hitting me with. And I think that their brain was still processing what was going on when their body was falling.
Absolutely. All right, Malcolm, last question for you, my friend. In a perfect world, what is the outcome June 14th when you make your return to the UFC in Atlanta, Georgia against Kris Moutinho?
My dream outcome in Atlanta, Georgia against Kris Moutinho is to go in there and get a first-round knockout. I mean, the thing I'm supposed to do is win this fight and win in, a flashy way, a fun way, an exciting way. And I think one of the questions out there is, do I have more power than Sean O'Malley? So I am on a mission to show the world that I can hit harder than him. So I get the opportunity to crack somebody that he couldn't put out cold when he's put many bantamweights out cold. And if I do this, I think that it's going to put a very nice asterisk next to my name as having some power that Sean O'Malley doesn't have.
Absolutely. You told me after the Kansas City fight that you and your corner, so you guys went back to the hotel, then you went back to the arena. They were all wearing their outfits still, and you got mobbed by like 5 million different people were there. Are we going to attempt this in Atlanta after the fight?
Look, me and my corners have already talked about revising a plan to avoid drawing as much attention to me as we did in Kansas City. But I'm going to be honest, bro. I don't know that I'll be able to avoid it after this one. If one person in Atlanta notices me, I'm going to get mobbed, and I'm cool with it, guys. I'm out there for the weekend. Y'all come and get y'all pictures, dap me up, say what's up, and let's enjoy the night.
Absolutely, Malcolm. But hey, man, always a pleasure. It's kind of crazy to think that we started doing interviews, I don't know, like 3 years ago, like 10 people would watch it. Now you're at a point where you're really starting to conquer your career. Another huge contest coming up for you. And as always, man, I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much, man. Love you, Carlo.
Absolutely. That's it for us tonight. I'm Carl Perusa. He is the machine. He is Mr. Malcolm Wellmaker. Watch him June 14th, taking out Kris Moutinho. Take care, fight fans.